instead of horizontal. I want to see how many viewers I can pick up. How do I do the simulcasting thing? There's a plugin from atom.tv. They have a multi-stream plugin. It lets you stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. There's other plugins as well, but I prefer the Atom one because I can also do vertical streaming using the plugin. And vertical streaming on YouTube is where you get viewers. Okay. Let's bring up the browser. Let's embarrass myself today in front of so many people. We are on 80 words per minute drill for the 36th class. Hopefully the music isn't too loud. I have it playing so that there's at least something in the background while they're talking.
Welcome to drill
We
practice.
love embarrassing ourselves in front of so many people. Yes.
Let's start out practicing some words. They're very short, easy words, and they are focusing on the short A sound, the ah sound.
Okay.
Ready? Here we go. Tap, wrap, bar, tack, band, sal, lab, sad, plan, dance, bad, mad, tart, lag, far, wrap, mat, rat, at, master, par, slab, tad, van, tan, brat, smart, rag, cad, mar.
Okay, that's it for that. Mar. I wonder what the next drill is gonna be. I hope it's not numbers.
Now let's try some words that are focusing on the long A sound.
It's just supposed to be MAR, but I
Ready?
erased.
Here we go. Jake, David, rated.
The lights above her are for the Q&A and tests. That's prosecutor, witness, court, and defense.
Stare, stadium, pain, ace, lay, baking, spray, pear, grate, paper, mare, trade, same, taper, rake, sail, gain, vein, place, cane, bake, steak, pear, hail, sable, blade, raid.
Okay, that's it for that. No numbers today, please. No numbers. Let's just do words. the vertical stream looks fine.
Now let's practice some sentences. And I call these silly sentences.
Silly sentences.
And because some of them might not make sense, but it's still good practice. And these sentences are focusing on the ah sound, like for A-U, ah. Ready? Let's give these a try. Here we go. He had enough gall to scrawl on the wall. It was more of a sprawl than a fall. We tried to see the prawn spawn. There was a short pause by all. Doc used a saw for the slaughter. She bought a shawl for Maud. The dog's paws had flaws. Paul played the game without a flaw. They were taught to rest on their laurels. I saw his jaw before it was mauled. Did you stall at the pawn shop? A wrought iron fence enclosed the lawn. I was taught to not get caught. If you don't call, I'll fall and bawl. Some raw slaw made me pause. Some laws have bald flaws. I was called to the mall to see Paul. Don't fawn over a small lawn. To gnaw on a jaw seems raw. He was caught flaunting a gaunt prawn.
You can't imagine a 180 words per minute or more. I've tried it 225 just for fun, and I could not keep up at all. It was way too difficult.
Definitely some different sentences. All right, let's see what else we have here.
Not numbers.
Let's try some number practice.
Use the numbers.
And so I will read the name of a county.
County, accompanied by numbers.
And the population of the county.
Okay. I hate this. Let's go. I hate numbers.
Ready? And you know what else? I'm going to spell
I just sit there with a blank stare.
The name of the county. So I'll read
Discover
the name
new
of the
English
county,
words I've
spell
never
it
seen.
out, and then give you the population. Okay, ready? Here we go. Alachua.
Alachua?
A-L-A-C-H-U-A. 104,600. 764.
It's supposed to be Alachua.
Baker, Baker, 9,424. Bay, Bay, 75,283. Bradford, Bradford, 14,625. Brevard, Brevard, 230,006. Broward, Broward, 620,100.
It's impressive. Thank you.
Calhoun, Calhoun, 7,624. Charlotte, Charlotte, 27,559. Citrus, Citrus, 19,196. Clay, Clay, 32,059. And we will stop there. That will conclude our drill practice.
Oh, that's the conclusion of the drill practice. Okay. Next, we're doing literary and jury charge.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's start out with some jury charge.
Wish they taught stenography to those working in digital accessibility in the higher ed sector. The problem is with something like that is that stenography takes years to get good at. So it would be like an additional 3 years of education for some people. Some people stay in for like 6 years. I mean, I'm still learning stenography and I'm 26. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation.
Members of the jury.
No, members of the jury. I have, come on, where is oh, it's right there. The lookup. Members of the jury. I always forget it because I don't use it very often, but it's a very useful brief to know. I think at least a foundational class would be good though, just to introduce it. I mean, it would get people more interested in it. Stenography isn't taught in a lot of schools. It's like nationwide taught in like 30 schools. It's really not a lot. It sucks.
In any jury trial, there are, in effect, 2 judges. I am one of the judges. You, the jury, are the other judge. It is my duty to preside over the trial and to decide what evidence is proper for your consideration. It is also my duty at the end of the trial to explain to you the rules of law that you must follow and apply in arriving at your verdict. First, I will give you some general instructions which apply in every case. For example, instructions about burden of proof and how to judge the believability of witnesses. Then I will give you some specific rules of law about this particular case. And finally, I will explain to you the procedures you should follow in your deliberations. You, as jurors, are the judge of the facts, but in reaching your decision as to the facts, it is your sworn duty to follow all of the rules of law as I explain them to you. You have no right to disregard or give special attention to any one instruction or to question the wisdom or correctness of any rule I may state to you. You must not substitute or follow your own notion or opinion as to what the law is or ought to be. It is your duty to apply the law as I explain it to you, regardless of the consequences.
I had to manually caption hours worth of lectures and it was not fun. That would fuck up your hands. That's a lot to expect from someone. Why didn't they call in a stenographer? I mean, stenography is expensive, but that's way easier than having someone manually caption using QWERTY. I'm curious if stenography were taught as the standard method of typing, if it would improve typing speed on a computer in a grade school setting. I think it'd be a little too complicated for elementary schoolers. Maybe middle school. That's when I started computer classes in middle school.
From jury charge material.
Oh, but I like jury charge material. I don't like to take a break from it.
And try a little bit of literary.
This better not be the fucking cheese book. I swear to God. If you take out the cheese book, I'm rioting.
This is called Success.
No cheese book. I'd love to see stenography used outside legal settings more.
Ready?
It is used for captioning.
If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, work day and night for it, give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it.
Learning it so I can get words on my TTS set up faster? That's good.
From the desire of it, you hold all the other things tawdry and cheap for it. If life seems all empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and you dream is about it, if gladly you'll sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, lose all your terror of God or of man for it, with all your capacity, strength, and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, if neither cold, poverty, famished, and gaunt, nor sickness, nor pain of body or brain can turn you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, you'll get it.
Was that a whole sentence, just one sentence? Or was it broken up? I have to change something. For some reason, the word fret isn't in the dictionary. It's just fretted. I don't know why. I had to change that in the dictionary. Come on, open up. Where is it? Oh. It was behind Notepad++. Okay, I fixed that.
A little motivation there. All right, let's get back to our jury charge.
Jury charge. I like jury charge.
Ready? Here we go. It is also your duty to base your verdict solely upon the evidence without prejudice or sympathy. You are to decide this case only on the evidence which has been admitted into court during trial. That was the promise you made and the oath you took before being accepted by the parties as jurors, and they have the right to expect nothing less. The indictment or formal charge against a defendant is not evidence of guilt. Indeed, the defendant is presumed by the law to be innocent. The law does not require a defendant to prove his innocence or produce any evidence at all, and no inference whatsoever may be drawn from the election of a defendant not to testify. The government has the burden of proving the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and if it fails to do so, you must acquit the defendant. While the government's burden of proof is a strict or heavy burden, it is not necessary that the defendant's guilt be proved beyond all possible doubt. It is only required that the government's proof exclude any reasonable doubt concerning the defendant's guilt. A reasonable doubt is a doubt based upon reason and common sense after careful and impartial consideration of all the evidence in the case. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt, therefore, is proof of such a convincing character that you would be willing to rely and act upon it without hesitation in the most important of your own affairs. The law does not require the United States to call as witnesses all persons who may have been present at any time or place involved in the case, or who may appear to have some knowledge of the matters in issue at this trial. Nor does the law require the United States to produce as exhibits all papers and things mentioned as evidence in the case.
In the case is next. How long was that? Pretty long, probably.
Take a little break here on our jury charge once again. And let's see what we have for literary practice.
Better be interesting. I'm gonna be writing to it. It better be interesting.
Okay, ready? Here we go. Chris Rice was only 14 years old when a judge told him he was a threat to society. At that age, he had spent more time out on the streets than in the classroom. Either he looked for trouble or trouble found him. But when he finally found himself in court, he realized he had a choice to make: go to jail or shape up. Rice did not exactly fit the at-risk youth stereotype growing up. He was raised in an affluent area in Simi Valley, California, with both his parents and siblings, and had most of the same opportunities of children his age. But still, there was something lacking. I did not have the encouragement or the discipline I needed growing up, Rice said. It was not a caring or loving environment, and I was sort of a hothead. For a long time, he did not know who to turn to or where to go. Then there was Journey House, a place where he could be comfortable in his own skin and call home. Not only did Journey House take him off the streets, they provided him with mentorship, support, and life skills he needed to get back on track.
Okay. I don't know how to spell Simi Valley. What came out is what came out. I also continue to misspell encouragement. Encourage. Okay, encourage.
Let's see what else we have
Okay.
here. This is some more literary material.
More literary material. Got 2 minutes left.
Ready? Here we go. In these days, much of the profit and sometimes the whole of success depends upon utilizing the odds and ends, the so-called byproducts. The byproduct is something apart from the main article manufactured, and yet something that has an actual value of its own. For instance, in the making of gas, there are many byproducts. These are obtained from the coal as the latter is made into lighting gas, and these byproducts, including the coke from the coal, actually suffice to pay the cost of the gas. The individual man does not make as a rule, but we are, all of us, dealers in time. Time is the one thing we possess. Our success depends upon the use of our time and its byproduct, the odd moment.
I had trouble with that one. Utilize?
All right, we will.
What is utilize? Utilize. Why utilize? Utilize. Okay, let's move on to the next one, the Q&A, which is always exciting. It goes so fast.
Welcome to Q&A practice.
I scratched myself real good on my thigh.
Start out with plaintiff attorney.
Plaintiff.
Ready? Here we go. Mr. West, I have a few questions. You indicated that just prior to the happening of this accident, that the tractor tanker, the tanker truck, suddenly came over into your lane. Is that correct? That is correct. And you further said that as a result of that sudden movement, he ran you out of your lane. Is that correct? Correct. I take it then that the movement, and we weren't there, so you have to tell us that the movement that you said was made by the tanker truck was very quick. Correct. And you acted or reacted just as quickly. Is that correct? That is correct. And when the tanker truck came over into your lane, you immediately went over into the lane to your left. Is that correct? That is correct. And right after you were struck? Correct. All of this in a split second? Correct. You also said that the truck driver, the tanker truck driver, did not give a signal. That's correct. You didn't give a signal either. No, I did not. Did you ever blow your horn? No, I did not. Did you, when you saw the truck coming over, did you apply your brakes? No, I did not. So, the only thing you did when the truck came over, as you say it did, and you immediately went over into the left lane, the lane to your left, and there's an accident. Correct. Thank you, sir. That's all I have. Okay. Mr. West just wanted to be clear in a couple of things. In conjunction with the tractor trailer, this is
that's not the court. I had Notepad plus blood cover the defense.
A big 60-foot long tractor and tanker trailer, correct? Correct. In conjunction with that vehicle, where were you in relation to the length of that vehicle when, as you say, it started to come into your lane? I was along the tractor. I was on his. He was on my right hand side, so I was on his left.
Okay, that's it for that one. That was 4 minutes long. And yes, the lights were on. Okay.
Let's try this transcript.
Okay, what transcript? It better be funny. It better be a funny transcript. I live for the funny ones. Sometimes the transcripts get so wacky.
And this one actually is practice mostly between the court and the witness.
Okay.
So a little bit different.
That is different. Never had that happen before.
But we will start with the plaintiff attorney.
Plaintiff first.
Ready? Here we go. The people call Michael Chase to the stand. Michael Chase, yes, you do solemnly state that the evidence you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you very much. You can be seated. Please state your name for the record, spelling your name. Michael Chase, Michael Chase. All right, hold on just a second, Mr. Chase. Ladies and gentlemen,
what's happening? I'm doing steno practice.
Mr. Chase
stenography practice.
Was brought up to the stand by the deputy sheriff, and that there's also a deputy sheriff sitting up there while he testifies. You're to take absolutely no cues from that. The reason we do that is because security in every courtroom is controlled by the sheriff's department, and that's why we hire the sheriffs.
Hello.
Although they might have some debate whether the courts actually...
Hold up. How do I write department again? I looked it up the other day, and it has fucking left my brain again.
We hire the sheriff, and that's why we hire the sheriffs. Although they might have some debate whether the courts...
You must not miss out on any chatter. You're watching the stream on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously? Wow, you are quite the chatter. You get double points for that. I don't know what you'd use the points on, but you get double points. It's a lot of points, too. I don't know the exact number, but it's a lot of points. Does that mean more hunk shoes? Double hunk shoes for you. There is no such thing as bagel points, but there are hunk shoes.
Actually have some debate sheriffs, although they might have some debate whether the courts actually hire them to run security in the courtroom. They make decisions about how they're going to run security. It doesn't mean that someone is necessarily dangerous. It's just that every time their policy is every time
if there are brownie points, there will be bagel points.
In custody witness.
I mean, I can't argue against
the
that.
Stand.
It's just common sense.
It's just that every time their policy is every time there is an in custody witness on the stand, whether the people call that witness or the defense calls that witness, that particular witness will be taken to the stand, and there will be a deputy seated up there with them while they testify. Understood? Mr. Chase, how are you doing today, sir? All right. Have you ever testified in a courtroom? Never. Let me talk about some of the rules for testifying so your stay here can be more pleasant than it would otherwise be. Okay. The first thing is that microphone in front of you is not an evil snake. It is your best friend. You have a very soft voice. It is hard for me to hear what you're saying, and I'm only sitting about 10 feet from you. If you can get closer, that would be great. The next thing is this. Please try not to say uh-huh or uh-uh. The reason for that, it's very difficult for all of us to know whether you're trying to say yes or no because they sound so close together. It's also very difficult for the lady seated in front of you, our court reporter, to know what you're trying to say. She has to take down everything you have to say in the courtroom. It's okay to nod your head for yes or shake your head from side to side for no, as long as you say something out loud as you do.
Okay, that's the end of that. Now it's time for the test. The test that I will fail. I fail every test. I also don't know how to say microphone.
This is an AD Q&A practice test. Plaintiff Attorney, Mr. Knox.
Knox. It doesn't matter what their names are because I never put them in my dictionary.
O-X. Defense Attorney, Mr. Silver. Capital S
Okay, time to fail.
And we'll start with the court.
Starting with the court. Okay.
Ready? Here we go. Thank you. Please be seated. Please state your name, address, and occupation for the record. Jack Sanders, 1241 Rockfield Loop, Auburn, Virginia. My occupation, Operations Manager, Westland Hospital. Thank you. How old are you, Mr. Sanders? I'm 45. And you're married? Yes, I am. Could you tell the jury about your family? I have 3 boys, ages 13, 17, and 23, and a wife. And what's your wife's name, Mr. Sanders? Susan. And is she here today? Yes, she is. Now, could you tell the jury about your educational background? Sure. I attended the University of South Carolina in Conway, South Carolina. And what did you study there? Business administration. How long did you go to school there? 3 years there. Did you graduate? No, not from there. Have you done anything else towards your degree besides that education? Sure. Other than military training, yes. In what? Military training in basic supply. Now, how close are you to finishing with your degree? I would say about a quarter or 2. And you testified that you are now employed by Westland as an operations manager. That is correct. And is that the same job that you had at the time this accident happened in May of 04? That is correct.
What is a lurk?
Could you explain?
A lurk is when you leave the video playing, but the sound muted, and you just do whatever the hell you want, without actually watching the stream. It supports streamers. One of my friends is always lurking in my stream, Sakyu. He always leaves a lurk at the very beginning of the stream. He has like an 80 stream streak right now because of it.
This accident
it's just a nice thing to do.
You had at the time this accident happened in May of 04. That is correct. Could you explain to the jury what your job entails? As an operations manager at Westland Hospital, I manage a crew that cleans the hospital, and we're responsible for making sure everything from the front door to the operating rooms to clinical and non-clinical areas are cleaned, and that we prevent any hospital infections from happening to patients. And how many folks do you...
Yes, I'm lurking now because I can't balance the volume problem to hear both you and the screen share I'm watching at the same time. That's fine. Thank you for the lurk. This stream will go on for an hour more.
Supervise about 50. And how do you do your job? I do a lot of walking on my job. I have to watch everything around me. Why? It's very important to keep the hospital clean. And so, what sorts of things are you always looking for? I'm looking in corners and edges for dirt. I'm looking in the ceilings for dust on vents. I make sure that bathrooms are clean. I make sure that the operating rooms are clean so that the next surgery that occurs, there's no infections in there. And do you have any military service, Mr. Sanders? Yes, I do. Could you describe that to the jurors? I'm part-time in the Navy. I also have volunteered to go on active duty during the war.
You love steno? It's so addictive. It is addictive. Once you try, you never want to stop.
The word list.
I don't need a word list because I'm moving on to the next video. Okay, but first let me click on to 37. Okay, now we are on class 16 for the 100 words per minute class. Same woman.
Welcome to drill practice.
Why is she so low?
Drill practice. Let's go ahead and get started with some numbers. Get our fingers moving. Ready?
Yes, I know, it's pretty fun.
72.1.
Wait, she's doing numbers. I don't want to do numbers.
37.
Okay. I skipped numbers. Yay! Skipping numbers. I don't want to just do numbers. It's so boring. It tends to go for a while.
All right. Now we're going to just practice.
I love how complex steno is too. Oh, ad break's gonna start in a few.
Some
Steno
types
pie?
of cars. And so we have numbers and we have letters. Then we also have just words, and some of these cars may be cars that you never heard of, so it'll be good vocabulary practice.
Okay, I'm gonna as well do this.
All right, ready?
It's not just numbers, it's words too.
New tour guide, ultra, GL1500 SE, 4.3 liter Vortec VORTEC engine. The sporty CBX 150 and the NX 150. 16 valve DOHC power plant. Retail price from $164.95 to $185.98. Performance shocks $145 $0.95 per pair. 32 to 45 miles per gallon. 39.1 miles per gallon average. 488 to 512 pound capacity. 1990 Sprint FF, priced at $3,198.46.
That starts in 1 minute.
1989 Silver Gray CBR 1000F Honda. Central LCD display. 63 easy to use gizmos.
Okay, taking a break now. Give my hands a break too. Be right back.
Rhythmix is just redeemed hydrate.
Thank you for hydrate. It's too bad I flunked out of court reporting school. I only did because I got really sick during it. And I mean, like, I couldn't get out of bed sick. I was sleeping all day sick. I could barely open my eyes sick. That went on for months. And I could only turn in what I had, which was always half the time required, but double the work. But because it was half the time required, I needed to do more work. So I failed. I never looked back. I'm gonna go on my phone. Gizmo is spelled with an S and not a Z? I would have thought Gizmo was spelled with a Z. It just seems like a word that would have a Z in it. But instead it's an S. We're still at 374 total subscribers on YouTube. I'm one away from my goal of 375. Ad break is almost over. Let's see if Fluxer is working. It wasn't working for me earlier. Nope, not working still. I can load it, but none of the servers are loading. Okay, we're back. I hated that numbers portion. I hated it so much.
Right. So that was definitely some vocabulary development, I would say.
I
right?
didn't develop shit. Hi, Zach. I'm Cube.
All right, now let's move on, and we will do a little bit of practice from our 14,000 Things to Be Happy About book.
I'm not a fan of this book either. If you're gonna give me literary material, I want it to be challenging.
What we might find to be happy about today.
I'll be happy to be done with this drill. That's one thing.
Ready? Here we
I'll
go.
be happy to do Latin.
Cheerleading. Greenhouse, fresh, roses. Softening your skin with cocoa butter. Crossword puzzles. Picking strawberries or tomatoes. Keeping up muscle tone. Wading in the ocean. Rock crystal Christmas ornaments. Sack lunches. A Victorian soap and sponge holder. Old maps from a museum gift shop. Old-fashioned kitchens. Ice cold oranges and crisp red onion salad. Scenes from old movies. Rereading a chapter or two from a favorite book. The steps of the old post office. Mocha floats. Ace hardware stores. Fresh, clean sheets and blankets on the bed. Soft flour tortillas with chili, cheese, and lettuce. Lighted makeup mirrors. Night lights. The sidewalk sizzling your soles. The smell of vinegar and pickling spices drifting out the door. Swiss cheese. Fog. School songs. The ride being worth the trouble.
Okay, that's it for the drill. I'm gonna move on to the jury charge and literary again.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get started with this jury charge.
Jury charge! Alright, jury again. Jury!
Ready?
I'm ready.
In this case, they treated the minor the same as they would an adult. Normally, he would have just been given a citation for jaywalking. Since he was intoxicated and caused the accident, he ended up being treated as an adult. Juvenile crimes are treated in much the same way as adult crimes. The first step in the criminal process includes the arrest of a suspect. The first step in the criminal process involving a juvenile is much the same. The Constitution provides that there are a number of rights that the person has before the law. The juvenile has these same rights, but the juvenile loses the rights that he has as a juvenile if he is treated as an adult. He still has the right to an attorney. This is a right that everyone has. The juvenile will be informed that he has the right to an attorney. Another right is the right to a speedy and public trial and jury.
I forgot to spell attorney. Okay.
All right. That was a little warm up for us. Let's finish up. This was something we started previously, and it's called Read Your Notes to Increase Your Speed.
Never am I reading my notes, and you can't make me.
So let's get back to that. Ready?
Come on.
Put some variety into your reading practice. Don't do the same old thing all the time. 4 to 5 minutes of dictation, no drops. Read only one time daily for 7 to 10 days, making no corrections or notations in the notes at any time. At the end of this time, you should be reading these notes at a speed significantly above your writing speed. Notes for speed reading: 3 to 4 minutes of dictation, no drops. Read once and time yourself, making no corrections or notations in the notes. Read them again and try to cut down the time. Read a third time and try to cut the time again. The idea is to read more quickly each time. The word per minute rate here is not significant. Simply read the notes at a comfortable speed the first time. Notes for listing errors. Pull out the hard words you have misstroked. Put them on a list. Practice the words on the list in groups of 3 or in short sentences with no other hard words. Notes for finding finger errors. Read the notes and circle with a glaring color of ink all errors, including the smallest of shadows. Hold up several folds at a time to see whether there are any patterns. This is not meant to catch an isolated error on one word. It is meant to show patterns of errors. Make a list of fingering errors. Practice the fingering problems 1 or 2 at a time over several days using appropriate drill work. Notes for general practice. When you come to the first error, mentally or on your lap, practice one of the following ways, making no corrections in the notes: the word in front, the error, and the word after. The 4 or 5 words in front of the error with the error. The error and the 4 or 5 words after it. Make corrections right in the notes and mentally set the new outline using one of the techniques listed above. When you finish reading a set of notes in any of the preceding patterns, read the set all the way through one last time without pausing to make or practice any corrections. If you read your notes consistently for a month, I know your writing will improve. Happy reading.
Woo, that was...
And I think I had mentioned before that this article was written by Margie Wakeman Wells. You may have heard of her.
It was 6 minutes long.
Let's see, it says that she's taught reporting for more than 30 years. And let's see, she's given many seminars on English grammar and punctuation. All right.
Next.
Let's get back to some jury charge practice. Ready?
I'm ready.
The question that arose was whether these acts could include the act of murder. The jury had to decide whether a person who was capable of committing perverted acts could have committed this crime of first-degree murder. Then there was the evidence that the defendant had met with the victim. A photograph suggested that the defendant met the victim days before the murder. The photograph provided another way to corroborate that the defendant met with the victim on the day in question. The fact that the defendant knew the victim was making contact with the victim in a perverted manner before the murder and had even met with the victim on the day in question suggested that he had reason to commit the murder. The messages and the photograph served to incriminate the defendant. With all this overwhelming evidence, it would seem that the defendant was guilty. As the trial continued, the victim's glasses were offered as evidence. The reason that they were offered as evidence was that they contained the fingerprints of the defendant. The glasses had the defendant's actual fingerprints on them. The only question was how the fingerprints of the defendant were on the victim's glasses that were found in a locked drawer. So far, the evidence that had been offered was the location of the victim, the messages sent to the victim, and the glasses. The location of the victim was the defendant's vehicle. The victim was found in the trunk of the defendant's vehicle. The fact that the suspect had been sending messages to the victim was evidence. Then there were the glasses that were found at the scene. A preliminary hearing was scheduled to determine whether there was enough evidence to bind over the suspect for trial. At the preliminary hearing, it was determined that there was enough evidence to bind over the suspect for trial.
You have 1,000 honks shoes.
Let's see, we had a couple of challenging words, maybe. Perverted.
Perverted, yeah. I could not spell
Perverted.
perverted correctly.
Corroborate. Corroborate.
It's not in my dictionary.
Incriminate. Alright, so some words maybe to add to your list.
Maybe I should add pervert to my dictionary. Yeah, I'll add pervert.
List of challenging words.
Preliminary.
Alright, do this literary, and it's actually an article from the NCR, the Journal of Court Reporting magazine, and it's by Connie Lee, and it's called I Write the Stanley Cup Every Day.
I just moved my
Ready?
Cinema machine up.
I love hockey. I especially love the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are my team. I have been providing in-stadium captioning for the Pittsburgh Penguins for 5 seasons now. Lucky me. I had the distinct pleasure of writing Game 5 of the 2016 Stanley Cup Final. The Penguins were winning the series 3-1, and Game 5 was going to be the night that Pittsburgh won a championship at home for the first time in 60 years. I was completely giddy to get to the arena from the time Game 4 was in the books. I woke and dressed in my most professional version of black and gold that day. I had a short deposition in the morning before heading to the Consol Energy Center arena, strategically parking near the exit that would lead to the quickest way home. After all, 60,000 people, both inside and outside, were expected that night. As I passed through the security gate and waved hello to my colleagues.
What is she doing? Oh, she's just reading, and I'm the one using the machine used in sports.
Just as I have done for the last 5 seasons, it dawned on me how very ordinary it was that day. The same aroma of pizza and hot sausage filled the air. 1 billion more TV people and trucks blocked my path, but everyone was calm. When I arrived at media level, I expected people running from emergency to emergency. I expected high levels of anxiety. I got none of it until, that is, it was time for rehearsal. Routinely, everyone involved in game night production meets in the director's room, which is the size of about 3 large conference rooms. It's about 30 people. When the game director, Billy Wareham, started to speak, I knew it was time to get serious. Billy is pretty jovial and cracks a lot of jokes, but when he started the meeting with, "I need to give you all some instructions," I gulped.
Ah, that was tough. How long was that? Pretty long.
Gulped.
Gulped.
That's a good one to practice. Gulped. I like that. All right, we'll finish that one later.
Still got 4 minutes left in the literary and jury charge.
Let's see here. Let's do a little more of our jury charge. Ready?
Jury charge.
In order to bind a suspect over for trial.
Wait. In order to. Okay, for some reason I was getting that wrong.
In order to bind a suspect over for trial, it is important that there be...
It's because this is a different, like, they record this at a different time. And at this moment, the lights are blue instead.
Enough evidence to bind over a suspect in a murder trial, because if convicted, the suspect could face the death penalty. The amount of evidence that is needed is not as much as is needed to convict. A judge must only find that there is a reasonable cause to believe the defendant committed the crime to bind the defendant over for trial. In this case, there was an overwhelming amount of evidence that suggested that the defendant had committed the crime. The defendant admitted to sending emails to the victim and to having met her for lunch on occasion. He did not admit to sending the victim strange messages. He did not admit to sending the victim any messages that contained references to murder. Even though he did not admit to sending the victim strange messages, he admitted having a predilection. He admitted to having engaged in sending these messages to others.
Oh, I got the entire thing right this time. Hell yeah.
So, predilection is spelled.
I know how to spell predilection. I got it right the first time.
Ection.
Clap, clap. Thank you.
I want to add to your list. Predilection. Like something that's, I mean, you have a, it's in you, I guess.
No,
I
doesn't know the definition of predilection.
I'm not exactly sure how to explain that one, but he just does it. He knows he does it. I guess that's a way to say it.
I don't know about that.
Predilection.
Books are open.
All right. That will conclude our journey.
Okay, we're doing Q&A now. I'm almost done with this stream. Books are still not online.
Welcome to Q&A practice. We'll get started with some two voice.
Two voice.
And we'll start with the defense question.
Oh, the defense
Ready?
this time.
We are here today to talk about an accident where you filed a claim against the Rapid Transit District. Do you understand that? Yes. When was that accident? July the 22nd. And were you a passenger on a bus or a passenger in a car at the time of the accident? I was a passenger in a car. Do you know who the owner of that car was? Charlotte Barber. What kind of automobile was it? A Toyota Camry. Where were you sitting in the car at the time of the accident? In the back seat on the passenger side. Who else was in the car? Another passenger. Do you know her or his name? Her name was Robin Thorpe. And was Miss Barber in the car at the time? Yes. Was she driving the Toyota? Yes. Was this Toyota Camry equipped with seat belts for the back seat passengers? I'm not sure. Were you wearing one at the time of the accident? No, I wasn't. Do you know whether this was on a weekday or a weekend? It was on a weekday. Do you know which day of the week it was? No, I don't. What time of day approximately did the incident occur? Around 3:50 p.m. What street did it occur on? Viking. Do you know whether Viking is a north-south or an east-west street? North and south. And which direction were you going at that time? South. Were you approaching an intersection at the time this accident occurred? Approaching a cross street? Yes. What was that street? King Boulevard. Do you know how many lanes there are for southbound Viking at approximately King Boulevard? 2. What was the weather like that day? It was sunny and bright. It hadn't rained that day? No. Where had been the last place that you had stopped the car other than for a stop sign? The social service building. Where is that located? On Viking. About how far away is that from the accident? About 2 or 3 blocks. And when this incident occurred, which lane of travel were you in? The right lane. Closest lane to the right-hand curb? Yes. Was there room for cars to travel in that right-hand lane? And also for cars to be parked at the curb at that area? I don't remember. Were you stopped or moving when this incident occurred? Stopped. And did you ever see the vehicle that you had the accident with before the accident occurred? No. Can you describe the vehicle that struck the car you were in? It was a Cadillac.
Oh, I did not do good on that one. Look at all that missing text. Okay, we got 5 more minutes of this. And then we do the test, which I'm gonna fail.
Alrighty,
Then that's the end of the stream. And then tomorrow I'm back for Ace Attorney.
some Q&A practice with this transcript we started.
Okay, what's this transcript? Yay! Ace Attorney!
Start with the plaintiff.
Plaintiff.
Ready? After Cal State Los Angeles, what did you do then? I worked for a company called Jason's Plumbing, and I was a sales associate for fixtures. for fixtures, plumbing fixtures. Okay. How long did you work for? Was that Jason's plumbing? Yes. Okay.
Watching
How long
Eustace get
did
whipped to
you
death?
work
Oh,
there?
yes! I love that. I want to see him die from getting whipped.
Okay. How long did you work for? Was that Jason's plumbing? Yes. Okay. How long did you work there? I worked there for 5 years. That
Okay, hold
would
up. How do we write plumbing? Okay.
be yes. Okay. How long did you work there? I worked there for 5 years. That would be approximately 2006 to about 2011. Okay, and was it always as a sales associate? Yes. Okay, and in that approximate 5-year time slot, did any of your work at Jason's Plumbing involve traffic investigation, anything that relates to police science, anything like that? No. And what did you do after you worked at Jason's Plumbing? I then was accepted into the California Highway Patrol Academy, that being in 2011. Yes. What month was that when you were accepted? I entered the academy in August 2011. And which academy did you attend? There's just one academy. It's in Sacramento, California. And how long was the academy? It was 27 weeks. And I trust you graduated? Yes. Okay, congratulations again. And of the time that you spent at the academy, was there a time that was spent with regard to traffic accident investigation? Yes. And approximately how long, how many minutes, hours, days, if you could, would you estimate that you spent while at the Academy, CHP Academy, as it relates to the investigation of traffic accidents? I believe the courses total to 96 hours. And of the 96 hours, if you could explain to me how would that break down? I'm not sure the exact breakdown of it, okay, as it was taught to me, but it would begin with just teaching you the fundamentals of how the California Highway Patrol investigates traffic collisions, okay, and it will bring you through a property damage only collision and ending with a fatality collision. Okay, so they increase the workload until at the end of that class you know how to document all types of collisions. Okay, how many hours would you estimate that you spent at the academy with regard to the investigation of fatal accidents? I can't recall. Give me your best estimate if you could. I would say approximately 40 hours. Now, with regard to the investigation of fatal accidents, you understand that you were taught there at the academy to gather. When you're assigned to investigate a fatal accident, you're to gather as much evidence as you can, right? Correct. And what you want to do is to prepare, at the end of the day, prepare a traffic investigation report. Correct? Yes. And you use the 555 form? Yes. You were trained on how to properly complete that? Yes.
Oh my god, that went so fast. I'm gonna do the test now.
This will be a 100 Q&A practice test.
So loud.
Plaintiff attorney, Mr. Reyes, capital R-E-Y-E-S.
Reyes.
Defense attorney, Mr. Jones, capital J-O-N-E-S.
Okay, time.
And we start with the plaintiff. Ready? And
Jonas's water just redeemed posture check.
Hello, Jason. Jason? Jonas. I have dyslexia. I'm sorry. Hello, Jonas. How are you doing? I do genuinely have dyslexia, but it's comprehension dyslexia. I have a harder time understanding complex text without doing a lot of annotating and stuff. You're good? That's great. I'm almost done with this stream. I'm doing the test now for the 100 words per minute class. And then after this, I'm going to rate out to whoever is available. My dad's name is Jason, so that tracks. I wonder how many times in your household someone has meant to say Jonas but said Jason, and vice versa. Because I know in my house, despite the fact that me and my siblings have completely different names, my mom would still call me by the wrong name sometimes, looking straight at me, and she would say like my sister or my brother's name. It was yeah, it happened a lot.
And we start with the plaintiff.
Okay, plaintiff.
Ready? And did you see the motorcycle impact the van about like I've put that arrow? Okay, so this is the motorcycle, the arrow. The arrow is yes, okay, yes, but okay, I'm still, you know, we're talking seconds. We understand, ma'am. Seconds. I understand that this is happening.
Who was talking that time?
Yes. Okay. Yes. But okay. I'm still, you know, we're talking seconds. We understand, ma'am. Seconds. I understand that this is happening and I'm trying to get out of his way. My car, by the way, is still in motion, although you're veering. My foot is on the brake and yeah, you pull off to the right. Yes. Okay. And as you saw the motorcycle impact the van, did you see the rider eject off the motorcycle? Yes. And did you see what happened to his body? Yes. What happened to his body? He kind of flew off his motorcycle. Also, parts of the motorcycle were flying in the air. I don't know why they didn't hit my car. My car. I came to a stop and I saw him laying in the middle of the street. Okay, and when you say you saw him laying in the middle of the street, was he in the westbound lane of where you saw him? He was in the middle of the street, somewhere at or near if we drew a line down the middle of Maine, somewhere near the middle of that line? Yes. Okay. Do you know if he was to the east or to the west of that line, or don't you know? I don't know. Okay. And on Exhibit 19, I've drawn the van that the lady was driving from the due west position to approximately a 45-degree angle. Well, my angle is actually a little less than a 45, but you're saying it may have been this angle or a little bit more than the angle I've drawn. Is that right? Yes. Okay. Did you, after the accident happened, you pulled your vehicle off to the right to a stop like we see here in 19? Yes. And then you mentioned you got out of the car. Yes. When you parked your car, was your car ultimately parked about where the other van was when the impact happened? Not quite. I was still a little bit further back, a few feet back. Do you think? I'm trying. If this is the diagram that I'm working with here on 19, you would have pulled your car to the right. I wasn't that close. I don't think. I'm talking about, that far behind the accident. I was, yeah, when you actually came to a stop. If this was the position of the van, the other van, at the point of impact, I don't believe I was next to the accident. I was still back a little bit, still say east of it. Okay, by you think a couple of feet? More than that. Your best estimate, you think 5 or 10 feet? At, yes. Okay, and then you parked?
Oh my god, that was so difficult, and I didn't even do that well. Aw, I didn't do good on this at all. I had such a hard time keeping up. 100 is so hard. Don't even talk to me about 120. I've tried 120 before, and it is so much more difficult to barely get out one word before 5 other words would come out of her mouth. Okay. Well, that's the end of this stream. Okay, let me shut things off. You are at 1.2 thousand shoe honks. Impressive. I have like 100,000 in my friend Saku's stream. I never use them. His channel points. Okay. I said I was gonna read out, so who am I gonna read into? I have 5 people, including me. Saku! Of course, I've been saying Saku the whole time. Let's raid Saku. He's still doing his Bunathon, I believe. Bunathon day 23. I'll be back tomorrow for Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. We're still in the middle of Case 4. What was Case 4 about again? Oh, it was about the committee. There was a murder in the committee chamber. And they arrested Kay for it. And Kay has amnesia because of something else that happened. They were auctioning off pieces of evidence from Edward's cases. Cool. Goodbye, everybody. See y'all.